Liam Rowe, Liam Byrne, and Sean McGovern were once top figures in the cartel world, living like they were untouchable. They enjoyed a life of luxury, dining at expensive restaurants, driving flashy cars, and taking lavish vacations, all funded by the money they made from flooding communities with drugs and recruiting young men into their criminal operations. However, their time at the top didn't last. Liam Byrne is now behind bars, McGovern is on the run, wanted for murder, and Rowe was recently laid to rest after a brief illness. They've learned the hard way that crime doesn't pay in the end. Liam Rowe was known for his striking appearance and attention to detail. A regular at sunbeds, he maintained a distinctive orange tan and was rarely seen without designer clothes. His image as a tough enforcer was reinforced by his dedication to working out, resulting in a muscular build that he often showcased in tight t-shirts. Rowe embodied the lifestyle of a cartel soldier, indulging in fast cars, luxury holidays, expensive Rolex watches, and champagne. However, his life took a downturn in recent years, as the Crumlin branch of the Irish Mafia to which he belonged was severely weakened. The Criminal Assets Bureau, CAB, targeted him, seizing his assets and tightening the noose around his once lavish lifestyle. The downfall of his associates was equally dramatic. Many of Rowe's friends were either behind bars for serious crimes, such as money laundering, murder, and drug trafficking, or had gone into hiding. By the time of his death, only a handful of his old crew remained. When Rowe was buried at Boherna Cemetery in Dublin, it was a far cry from the mob-dominated funeral of his cousin, David Byrne, who was murdered in 2016 during the infamous Regency Hotel attack. Back then, the gang's members had shown up in coordinated outfits, their presence sending shockwaves through the nation as a display of mafia strength and unity. In contrast, Rowe's funeral was subdued. A small group of family and friends attended the service at Our Lady of Good Counsel Church in Drimnagh. Many of them wore red to honor his deep love for Liverpool FC, but the gathering was quiet, a shadow of the once powerful network that had surrounded him in life. His final farewell marked the end of an era, with the Crumlin gang's influence now a fading memory. Sadie Byrne, the mother of David and Liam Byrne, and aunt of Liam Rowe, was one of the most recognizable faces at the funeral. Last year, she sat in stony silence at the Special Criminal Court, watching as Jerry the Monk Hutch was acquitted of her son David's murder. Her presence at Rowe's funeral was a stark reminder of the personal losses she has endured in the violent world her family was deeply entangled in. While a few younger associates of the Byrne organized crime group, like Nathan Little, attended the funeral, none of the significant criminal figures showed up. The absence of key players highlighted how much the once powerful gang had been decimated. Liam Rowe was a prominent figure in the Byrne organized crime group, closely tied by blood and friendship to its former leader, Liam Byrne, who is currently in custody in the UK, facing charges related to a gun plot. Rowe, known for his permanent tan and strong, burly presence, was a vital enforcer and logistics operator within the group. He played a crucial role as the gang transitioned from local schoolboys in Dublin's south inner city to senior drug dealers before they were even out of their teens. The Byrne gang, which included Liam and David Byrne and notorious gangland figure Fat Freddie Thompson, emerged from a close-knit family background. They had once made their living as street traders in Dublin, but as the Crumlin-Drimnagh feud ignited, they fought fiercely for control against rival gang boss Brian Radigan and his associates. The feud lasted more than a decade, leaving a trail of violence and death in its wake. By the early 2000s, the Byrne gang had expanded their operations, doing business in Spain and forming strong ties with the Kinahan Cartel, which supplied them with drugs and weapons from the Costa del Sol. Over the next decade, the Byrne group became the most powerful drug gang in Dublin, essentially becoming the Irish arm of the Kinahan organization. When Thomas Kavanagh, married to Joanne Byrne, sister of Liam and David, relocated to Birmingham, the Byrne faction expanded its influence into the lucrative UK market. By 2018, even as law enforcement's Operation Shovel began its first serious assault on the Kinahan cartel, The Byrne faction had established a highly efficient drug trafficking operation in Ireland. Their network was slick, organized, and deeply entrenched, making them one of the most formidable criminal enterprises in the region. Despite being a top target for the Gardaí, Irish police, Liam Rowe managed to evade significant legal consequences for much of his criminal career. A lack of effective international cooperation allowed him to stay out of reach while conducting his business in Spain and laundering money through the UK, particularly within the car trade. Rowe played a key role in transporting large sums of cash and securing properties used as stash houses and to clean dirty money. For a time, he lived in Temple Bar, Dublin, where he worked as a bouncer and moved between various apartments. Although his homes were frequently searched for firearms and drugs, these investigations yielded little, with the most significant legal repercussion being a 4-month sentence after stolen designer handbags were discovered in his possession. Rowe was a fan of MMA star Conor McGregor and traveled the world with his cousin David Byrne to watch McGregor's fights. They were often seen posing with the Crumlin-born fighter, adding to their public image as high-rolling criminals. However, the life of luxury and relative impunity came crashing down in 2016 when David Byrne was murdered in a brutal attack at the Regency Hotel. A hit team from the Hutch Gang, former associates of the Kinahan Cartel, targeted David in an act of revenge that marked a significant escalation in the ongoing Kinahan-Hutch feud. Rowe, who was at the hotel with his cousin Liam Byrne, managed to escape the gunfire but witnessed David's lifeless body in the hotel reception. After the Regency attack, Rowe lived in a state of constant fear, like many others caught in the violent crossfire between the Kinahan and Hutch factions. He became increasingly paranoid about his safety, avoiding public attention and even filing complaints against media stories that he felt put his life at further risk. In his final days, Rowe's life took a different turn as he battled cancer. He died peacefully at St. James's Hospital in Dublin, where security measures were put in place to protect him during his treatment. Despite the violent and dangerous life he had led, Rowe's end came quietly, far from the bloodshed that had defined much of his existence. Liam Rowe's life was marked by his deep involvement in organized crime, living on the edge of the law and constantly under the shadow of violence. From his early days as a member of the Byrne organized crime group to his final years lived in fear, Rowe's story reflects the volatile and dangerous world of Ireland's criminal underworld. Despite his best efforts to remain elusive, his world crumbled as his closest allies were imprisoned or killed, leaving him increasingly isolated. The criminal empire he once helped build was reduced to ruins, a stark reminder of the fleeting nature of such power. In the end, Rowe's peaceful death in a hospital bed was a stark contrast to the chaos and violence that had surrounded much of his life, leaving behind a legacy intertwined with one of Ireland's most infamous criminal families.